I'm excited today and my heart is on fire for God. We want and pray that the fire of God's Spirit will ignite your heart and soul, and you feel a fresh love and passion for Jesus. Welcome to Church on the Beach, and let's continue on with a heart of fire. The Lord chose a man called David who had a heart after God, and he was called to be the king of Israel. But in the meantime, King Saul was threatened by this young man who had been freshly anointed by the power of the Holy Spirit. And to make it worse for King Saul, David slew that great giant Goliath. And you can read for yourself in 1 Samuel 18 verse 6 on, "Now it happened as they were coming home, when David was returning from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the women had come out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tambourines, with joy, with musical instruments. So the women sang as they danced and said, 'Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. Then Saul was very angry, and the saying displeased him. And soon Saul tried to kill David, and David fled into the wilderness. Even in the wilderness, David kept his heart after God, kept his heart right with God, and wrote some of his best psalms in the wilderness. Psalm 42, "As a deer pants for the water brooks, so pants my soul for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God." So David's heart was panting and thirsting after the living God. Again in Psalm 63, "O God, you are my God. Early will I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh longs for you in a dry and thirsty land where there is no water." And David is likening his thirst to a deer that was panting after the water brooks. As he was being pursued by King Saul with about 600 men, he felt like a deer, panting and struggling, being harassed by wild beasts. And more than anything else, he wanted to find God in the situation. And maybe today you feel like you are one in the wilderness, or feeling you're going through something yourself. But you need to have a thirst after God, a longing after the Almighty, who is the answer to our every need. Such a beautiful morning down here. I hope you're enjoying it. And I was remembering when I was a young man, about 14 years of age, working on my dad's farm. We had 3 big draft horses, and I used to walk behind them, ploughing and cultivating the field. And about 12 noon it was time for a break. And I'd unhook that plough or cultivator and put the reins behind my back, and those horses would begin to head off across the field towards the water trough. And the closer they got, the stronger they would pull. And they'd get to that water trough after working several hours. Their bodies were covered with sweat. And as soon as I got the bridles off, they'd be slurping away at that water. We need to have a thirst like that after God. To have a thirst like David in the wilderness, being pursued by King Saul. And more so when you come across trouble in your life, to search after God for the answer. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. But when he's thirsty, you can't stop him getting to the water trough. The prophet Isaiah in chapter 55 makes this great plea and call. "Ho, everyone who thirsts, come to the waters, and you who have no money, come buy and eat. Yes, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price." You need to make a decision yourself and come. You have to have a thirst for God to come. The prophet goes on to say, "Why do you spend money for that which is not bread, and your wages for that doesn't satisfy. It's only God himself that can satisfy a longing soul. Why don't you come to God today? Come for a fresh infilling of the Holy Spirit. We're going to continue on with this series, Having a Heart of Fire.